lakho mngani wami awulungelo lakho mngani wami lakho mngani wami awulungelo lakho mngani wami lakho mngani wami awulungelo lakho mngani wami oma yakhe impolompo awungela wemngani wami
Mbukele usanethezekile emaholidini sithi sanibonani uSijonga uMajali uyanibingelela siyanabukela phela kuhlelo enilithanda kakhulu ilungelo lakho it's your right namhlanje ke asisakazi bukhoma yikho singeke sikwazi ukuthatha izingcingo zenu kodwa ke usengasithumela phela wena i-email ku consumer@sabc.co.za alternatively leave your comments on our social media platforms that is on Facebook and Twitter nansi indaba yethu namhlanje mbukele Now, it's a matter of hours before we wave the year 2016 goodbye. But what is refusing to leave are the high levels of consumer indebtedness among consumers. Now, it is estimated that millions of South Africans are in debt to the tune of over 1 trillion rands, which means many are unable to meet their financial obligations timeously. Now, with the new year almost inside comes a chance to start again, as there's no better time to resolve to take steps that will stabilise your financial plight than now. And now to look at the persistent debt levels among South Africans and how we need to be doing things differently, let's extend a very warm welcome to two gentlemen. Let's welcome Gerald Mwandiambira from the South African Savings Institute. Samgele noputu Elias Shamatla. Yenage, he is a consumer rights activist. Yena ubuya kwa Marefi Consulting. Gentlemen, a very good afternoon to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Alicia, and good afternoon to all the viewers.
Alicia,
you know, Gerald, when everybody sees the two of you at home, they know you're going to be giving hard lessons. But as you heard on my intro there, like over-indebtedness to the tune of 1 trillion rand. What is still causing South African consumers to not heed the calls to try and be better when it comes to their money?
Alicia, I think 2016 for most South Africans has been a year where most people have been better at managing money. Unfortunately, many of us made our mistakes not in 2016. We made mistakes as far back as 2010, which we're still paying for today. And it's understanding the dynamics of how money works in terms of the interest payments, you know, these debts which never go away. You know, you want this thing to go away. You thought it was finishing this year, but you're still paying it. And I think that's where we are, where we're over-indebted to a principal amount of debt, but there's this thing called the charges. And these charges are where we simply have no control and no idea what's waiting around the corner.
So kwenziweni ke but Elias if kuukuthi abantu bayazama ukuthi bayikhiphe ikweletini, but it just seems like ikweletu zakudala izona lezi that just keep sinking them back into debt.
Wabana problem ko hore hana tjena ka sheba di consolidation loan.
Yeah.
Re batla patala di sekoloto ka sekoloto se seng, which doesn't work. And again, the debt for consumption purposes. And now we have got nothing to show. And in order for us to be able to buy the uniforms, to pay the school fees, we have to take the new debt. You know, overloading ourselves over and above what we have already.
So what is our responsibility then, Gerald, if we know that we're between a rock and a hard place? Then surely there are things that we need to do.
I think there are things we can do. And I think we also need to start accepting that most South Africans are between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Abantu out there, they all want to save. Nobody wants to just be in debt. But it's coming to January. People are already thinking, okay, in 2 weeks' time, my uniform are required. I need to pay school fees. Some people have already skipped my payments at December because that's one of the mistakes many people make, because December was paid on the 15th.
So
No, that was money for my debitor December, but it's gone. So already people are in that mode of panic and worry. So we do accept as a savings institute that Avantu are under significant pressure in terms of their finances, but we need to start looking ahead. And I think it's a good time that we're having this show, Namhlanje, that we can look ahead and say, look, let's make realistic New Year's plans, New Year's resolutions. And I think I don't like the word resolution because the resolution is just an idea. Let's make New Year's plans. A plan at least is something which you can aim and do towards 2017.
But is it not just a hype ukuthi yabona but Elias wonke umuntu vele sekuzoba umhla ka-31, the year is about to begin, asenza ama New Year's resolutions of which we never ever think about. Once kwasha umhla ka-4 January, we've forgotten about it.
It's true. And I just want to go back to the point that he raised, which is very important. I think now it's about time that we look at the debt relief measures. Government has come up with the debt relief measures that are of assistance to us, the consumers.
Let's talk about those.
Such as, first of all, for those viewers who have got Section 129 letters, which is a letter of demand, mo morekisi a bolelang hore wa kolota, come and pay up the arrears. You know, you can talk to a credit provider and make an arrangement. If you do not succeed, the law says you can go to a debt counselor, or you can go to the mediator, which is an alternative dispute resolution agent, or okaya ho ombudsman, or okaya consumer court. Those are the 5 options that you have. So we said options stay, because once bank judgment against you, you are dead. Because National Credit Act has recently been amended. Subsection 4 of Section 129. Before it said the consumer may not reinstate the credit agreement unless this has happened. For example, if you have surrendered your vehicle, you cannot revive that credit agreement because you have voluntarily terminated it. Now they amended the act. It says the credit provider may not reinstate. So once the credit provider has got a judgment and you want to make an arrangement, but it's going to be unlawful, it's going to be illegal, because the law says we cannot make an arrangement once there is a judgment.
Talk to us about that, Gerald. I mean, do you think people are aware of what they really should do? Because I think we find often that a lot of people just leave, like you were saying, they've actually skipped their dates for the month of December, and they think, you know, it's not going to accumulate, when in actual fact it actually does.
And I think that's a big problem, Alicia, in that we don't know. In terms of we haven't been taught of how to deal with these things, and it's good that people like But Elias are here to talk and educate consumers that we do have a right. The problem is when those big abelungu come and they say they want imoto, you know, you just scared. Now where you just say, take the keys, Papa, you know, or they come home and it's who auntie who's at home who doesn't know what to do. She opens the door and she'll just sign a piece of paper. Next thing, that piece of paper is that very paper which is actually putting you in big trouble. So I think it's important that we realize, okay, there are various seasons in your financial life. There's a season when you're in control of finances. There's a season when things are getting out of hand. And then there's a season when things are out of hand. When things are out of hand, we do need to take action. We can't lie down and take it lying down and say, look, it's life. No, what we need to do is, if you are in that situation where you have the debt collectors on you, you are in trouble, you need to take the time off work if necessary to run around to protect your name. Because the one thing the court gets when they get a judgment against you is a judgment against your name. And that prevents you from a lot of things. And it's important that don't panic if you're in that situation. Rather, try and seek help. Yes, it's going to cost you time. Yes, it might even cost you money. But we need to protect our names, because sometimes once a judgment is on your name, it's very difficult to remove.
A quick one, Elias.
Yeah, you know, one thing that you have to be aware of, kita by the doctor, about the not the pathologists, the psychologists. If you've got a medical aid and you go to the doctor and he refers you to the pathologist or psychologist, or whatever the case might be, if medical aid does not settle the bill in full and they say you have to pay 80 rand, for example, or 40 rand, if you don't pay it, we've got a case now that we were dealing with yesterday. What happens was that this guy went to the physiotherapist, and there was a shortfall on the medical aid.
Okay, hold that thought, Elias. Mbukela ke siphuthume ngasayitolo siyaqhubeka manje nendaba yethu. Please stay with us.
timpolo.
Sikwamukele futhi mbukela ukhumbula ukuthi namhlanje ke asisakazi bukhoma yize singeke sikwazi ukuthatha izingcingo zenu kodwa sixoxa ngokuthi njengoba nizokwenza ama New Year's resolutions nina uyaqala unyaka u2017 how do you then keep to lawo ma New Year's resolutions kanye nezinye phela izindlela ongazama ngazo ukuthi wena uzikhiphe ezikweletini ngihlele nobhuti uElias noGerald niyazi ke mengihleli nabo yishoshovi bazoncinza indlebe mayelana namaplani ukuthi ni save but Elias asiqhubeke.
Yeah, this particular consumer owed 80 rand to the physiotherapist. What is big down? How do I owe you marginal medical aid? Understand? Physiotherapist hand over to the lawyers. The lawyers but charge 1,000 rand legal fees to recover 80 rand. No, this is insane. Why should I pay 1,000 rand for 80 rand? Let me tell you, the sheriff arrived at his doorstep with a truck coming to take his furniture. And indeed, he took the furniture. He said, in order for you to get back the furniture, you have to pay 3,500 rand to me for collecting the furniture from you. And then you still have to pay 1,700 rand to the lawyer for legal fees to recover 80 rand.
Gerald, this is not a win-win situation, and if we follow, I think a lot of people are also caught by these unknown charges. Like he's saying that this patient actually had a medical aid, so sometimes you're not even aware of what the extra charges are. So how important is it to just really know and get in tune with your contract and what you're signing when you sign away your life?
I think, as you said, you are signing away your life. We need to realize that every time we append our signature to a document, it becomes a legal contract.
Binding.
And legal contract means it's governed by the law. And Tina, we just sign anything and we don't even read half the things. And if your resolution, if your plan for this year is just to say, I'm going to take 2 minutes to read everything I sign, that's something. That's a step in the right direction because it's increasing your knowledge. And that's one of the biggest problems we have is that in a lot of these instances, we all stand up in court and say, I did not know. And that is a genuine reason for you. But in the eyes of the law, ignorance does not apply as a defense. Basically, they expect you to know. So when we are going into financial contracts, if we don't understand, rather let's seek help. Let's go with someone who knows a little bit more than us. I think we need to get out of this thing that money is easy. Money is not an easy topic. It's something which is learned and it's something that is taught. And if you haven't gone through that discipline of being taught from the stage of e-budget right through to managing your finances, always seek help. And I think that's where we're getting it wrong as Abantu Mnyama, because the problem is that Abelungu have known this for a long time, that they've got financial advisors, financial planners. They don't make big decisions on their own. Tina, you buy a house, you haven't even consulted anyone, or you come home and you show your wife a new car, but you never consulted and you never even sought help. And I think we need to say, for 2017, let's start there. Money is not an easy subject. Let me know more. How can I know more? Read about it. How can I know more? Seek help and pay someone to help me. How can I know more? Ask the right questions.
Absolutely. But Elias, when
You're happy, let's not try to keep up with the Jones of this world.
yeah, it seems like I'm a trend.
On the 31st, you know what, we were talking now that rather spend time in church. You save a lot of money. You know,
all night service.
We'll turn up in church all night. That is fine.
You know, but going forward in 2017, we are saying to the viewers, you know what? For those who have not incurred debts first, start first by saving before you spend. Save first, then you spend whatever is left. For those that are in deep problem, rather seek help. Go to the professionals. Call the National Credit Regulator and say, National Credit Regulator, who can you refer me to assist me? If you've got the access to the internet, because nowadays we need smartphones, they need the internet. You know, go to the NCR website. They've got a list of debt counselors that can assist you. Look, whenever I got a phone, we can give them a free advice on the phone.
You know, Gerald, you were talking about something, and it seems that there's so many risks involved when you become an active credit individual. So let's understand, how do you then, as an individual, try to minimize those risks? Is there maybe a way to say, don't open too many accounts so that you can actually keep track of your statements at the end of the month so that you don't have to pay somebody to financially advise you to make sure that you're keeping track of your money?
I think it's there. Take a step back, because one of the things which is killing all of us is just simply lack of knowledge. It's not lack of information, it's lack of knowledge in what we are doing. Read your bank statement, know what's going on. I guarantee most people, there's 100, 200 rand, which is on their statement, which
They
just
don't
went,
know.
and we don't know anything about it. And these are the practical steps we can really talk and start doing in terms of looking ahead and planning a new year. Money to me is something which I really, really believe that most of us were not taught, and it's not a crime to not know, but it's a crime to not pay your debt. It has consequences on marriage. Most marriages break up, primarily not infidelity, it's money, because money often leads to infidelity. You know, it breaks up families in terms of the children. Most people are already behind school fees. It's about knowing and saying, look, how can I live within my means? And if I have already made that mistake, how can I get the right help? And also seek a second opinion. Because as much as Ubut Elias is saying there's debt counselors and people who are doing review out there, there's also a lot of shady ones who are out there who are at a taxi rank saying that here's a piece of paper, call us, we'll clear all your debts. And that's not how it actually works in the eyes of the law. It's actually your responsibility. So even if you hire a debt review or counselor, it's up to you every month to call and check if they actually paid.
Exactly.
And most of us think it's now autopilot. I gave it to a debt counselor and no, I never need to call them again. And these guys don't pay. Are these people accredited? Do they know their story? Same thing even with the financial advisors.
Yeah.
Who is he? Do research, find out how educated are they, try and get the best solution out there. I know everyone is going to say this is all hard work. He wants us to start going around NCR, making calls. We don't have time, we're at
We
work.
don't have even
The
data
problem
or airtime.
is you got yourself into debt.
Yeah.
And it is your responsibility to fix things. So as much as it's not easy, you need to start fixing things because it's your life. Imali yakho.
It's very important to get a second opinion. You know, Hunalen Tatomo, he resigned from work. He was a general manager. He got a package of 750,000 rand. He went to the financial advisors. They said he must invest the money for 5 years. He was hoping that because he's highly qualified, he was a general manager, he will get the job easily. He couldn't find a job. He has got a bond to pay, he has got a car to pay. Now, when he wanted to access this 750,000, they said, sorry, sir, it has been locked up for 5 years. You know? So now he goes to the bank and said, I've got money there. They said, we need money, you don't want stories, you don't want the paper. Pay us. He ended up losing his house because he got a wrong advice.
Let's talk about then, where would you want go to outsource those reputable advisors then in the we work with word of mouth. Well, Alicia went to Gerald Wamsiza, therefore Nami Nzolandela, which is why you'll find that it's a chain reaction, like a large group of people will actually lose money in the same way because it's word of mouth.
Yes. You know, I always encourage people, like when you take a policy, let's say, for example, a short-term insurance policy for your vehicle, for your property. Check with the ombudsman. How many complaints have you received against this particular entity? If it's a debt counselor, check with NCR. How many complaints have you received against this person? You understand? And
how do you check with NCR? Do I just give them a call and say, listen, you know, this is what I want. I want information regarding this. And meantime, you've got debt, but you have to still keep verifying.
Because now you are scared that you might go to the wrong one and you end up losing more.
Avalungu, they call it, Alicia, due diligence.
Yeah.
Tina, even if the whole township is going to this one place, it's up to you to do your own due diligence. And lots of times it's saying that discipline to say, I'm going to take 15 minutes to just think this thing through, make 1 or 2 phone calls. Let's start doing the right things in 2017 because we will keep going into debt and it will always look like Abantu Mnyama don't know things. We just need to start empowering ourselves to say this thing we can beat it. Because one of the things I always say to people who are overwhelmed in debt is to say someone like yourself, Alicia, to say how much are you worth? And to find out how much you're worth, calculate how much you earn a year. Let's say it's 100,000 versus how many years to retirement you have. Let's say you have 30 years to retirement. 100,000 times 30, it's already 3 million. How much are you owing? Are you worth more than your debt? Yes, you are. Significantly more. Start owning that thing, because a problem is that we are overwhelmed with debt 180 or even 400,000.
All right, Gerald. All right, let's leave it there for now. My director wants to kill me. Let's take another quick ad break. Mbukeli siyabuya khona manje ungayindawo. Mbukelo sahleli nelungelo lakho khona la ku SABC 1 eMzansi for sure, kodwa ke ngebhadi asikhona ukuthatha ingcingo zenu because we are not live, but sinicebisa ngokuthi njengoba nihleli lapha emakhaya nenza those New Year's resolutions, how do you keep to them, and nokuthi futhi idebt yakho uyisusa kanjani? Kuwena Gerald, you were saying something very important before we went to the ad break there.
I was talking about self-pride.
Yeah.
If you don't value yourself, you cannot value the things around you. And self-pride starts by this year, 2017, evaluate how much you're worth to yourself. If you earn 100,000 and you've got 30 years of work in you before 65, you're worth 3 million. Your debt is not more than 3 million. You can deal with whatever it is. Once you have valued yourself and realize what you are worth, you can have that self-pride, because a lot of us have lost self-pride and self-confidence because of all these things that have overwhelmed us. Once you have got that, then you start going and saying, okay, 2017, how can I start? Don't start with the impossible. Start with something that's easy. And starting with things that are easy is things like opting out. They say there's opt-in and opt-out.
Explain.
Now, opting out is basically where you do something by giving up. It's easier for us psychologically to give up something than it is to take up something. So it's much easier to say I'm going to cut down on eating a 3-piece than it is to say I'm going to start going to the gym. So when you are starting to plan your finances, start with the easy opt-outs. What don't I need to buy? Because that doesn't hurt you. It doesn't take effort. And then you can, when you've got that confidence, start going for the opt-ins, where you now start saying, look, let me start saving. So in reverse, by opting out, you are saving. But if you say I'm going to start saving 100 rand from nowhere, it's a much bigger challenge. And these are the little tricks which we need to do, that if we make our New Year's plans or resolutions, as most people call them, for this year, start with the opt-outs. I won't waste money on takeaway. I won't drink as much alcohol. I won't do X, Y, Z. It's much easier because it's something which is in your control before you start going for the opt-ins.
You know, I just want to quote something here, gentlemen, and please explain this to me. It's in relation to what you've just said now, Gerald. What they have concluded is that we suffer from what is called present bias. We place more value on the present than the future. So our present happiness or gratification is more important psychologically than future happiness. I mean, so we're not going to, right, Mos, if we're going to keep thinking like this. How do we change this behavior then?
First of all, we forget that we earn only 12 salaries in a year.
Yeah.
Understand? And we forget that we are growing older. And we forget that when we grow older, we're going to start getting sick. We need more medical attention. Remember, when you retire, you get lesser money. And you need more medical attention. And we haven't saved in terms of the retirement annuity to say, how can you retire? Is more or less the same as what I was earning while I was still working. Because if you are staying in a certain area and you are earning a certain salary, do you think when you retire at the age of 60, 65, you will be able to stay in that area? Will you afford the rates and taxes for that area? Will you afford to pay the levies for that area? That's why you see many people who do not plan properly, or who perhaps maybe encountered problems along the way. When they grow older, when they are supposed to sit in the nice house and relax, they have to sell it and move to a smaller house because they cannot afford to stay there.
And I think that's important because, as I said, money is a science. You're only ever going to earn 480 paychecks if you work for 40 years.
Imagine that.
And you are not respecting each one. And that's one of our problems. We're not respecting the brown coins, the loose change. So how can we respect the big amounts? How can I be known to budget an entire salary when, if I can ask you right now, how much is in your purse, Mama? How much is in your wallet, Baba? If you don't even know to the rand or to the correct amount, it means you are not respecting your money.
Yeah.
So do not then cry when you can't respect a whole salary. And I think
Sisebenzela
those are the
kanzima kanje le
basics.
mali, Gerald.
You can ask anyone how much are they owing on their credit card, personal loan, or overdraft.
They don't know.
They don't know.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
They don't
Everybody-
open
they know
the
the debits
letters.
are just going through.
No,
It's fine.
and
It's
it is
paid
that
this month.
self-worth. Because we are now all beat down. We don't even open the letters. The SMSs, some of us, they change, I'm a pay-as-you-go numbers. You know, and it's about taking ownership and saying, I am worth something. This debt is not bigger than me. 2017, I shall be in control. And that's the most important thing. Being in financial control doesn't mean having too much money.
That's true.
It just means you know where the little that is there is going. That's control. Control is knowing I've got 10 cents, but I'm going to use 2 cents here, 8 cents here.
Yeah.
It's not about saying I've got 15 cents and I only need 10. Control is really about that. And I think as I want to this year, let's make that one of the things we want to do. There's other things we can do. Automation.
Yeah. What's automation?
Automation is the same thing as, remember I was talking about opt-out.
Okay.
Automation is where things are happening in the background. Set up a savings stop order. Talk to your HR and let them set up that 13th check so that you can clear some debts or do things over the festive period next year.
So you can do that.
When you automate now, it becomes out of your hands. It's like when you receive your pay slip. You know, they can put 10,000, which you didn't know about, but when it's net salary, when are you only going to look at the net salary line?
Oh,
so
yeah.
let's start looking at ways in which we can automate our behavior.
You know, I was talking to one of the HR managers in the audit firm. She said to me, Elias, I've got a problem. I cannot save. And I've got this mall phobia. You know? And she said, you know, whenever I go to the mall,
Mall phobia.
she said, I spend everything. It's like I have to empty my bag when I go there.
No.
I said, you know what, try this. If you're going to the mall,
Leave your cards at home.
send yourself a cash send or e-wallet. Then you go to the ATM machine. You don't need a card. Then you press the machine and you throw that 300 rand that you transfer to yourself.
And also go there with a shopping list, because I think a lot of people just go there to buy things that they didn't even leave the house to intentionally buy.
Well, that's the point, Alicia. You know I need a shopping list. That is planning. Shopping is a planned behavior. It's a planned action. So if you have a shopping list, why don't you have a budget? Because most people, yes, they can do a shopping list and go to a supermarket very easily, but they don't have a budget. So let's take the shopping list concept a step further. Plan your money more. Plan. And I think that's one of the things. It's nice for the guys who are starting out in life, who are still young, who haven't made the mistakes. But some of us are old. We'll say we've got children, we've got families here. And imali is just not stretching, and it's not enough anymore. And it's time that 2017, maybe you make that hard decision. Move out of your bonded property, go ekasi, stay with the extended family while debt goes. No, it's about pride.
Yeah.
If I have self-worth and I realize why I'm doing this thing, yes, people will laugh at me and say, ha, they moved from the suburbs, they're back ekasi, now no go. But if you know for 2 years I'm going to give up paying this bond and rent out my house, is it not worth it to take control of your life?
Absolutely worth it. You know, gentlemen, I just want to find out, I mean, a lot of people underestimate the small debts. How dangerous is it to underestimate those small debts like your school fees, arrears, skipping a month's loan repayment and postponing your municipal bills? Just how much more debt can these incur?
They are very dangerous. First of all, they attract high interest because they are unsecured.
Yeah.
You know, and with the school fees, the attitude of the attorneys is that you cannot owe the school fees. It's a necessity for your child. So that's when they go after you, they go after you very hard. They go all the way to garnish you. And as far as the municipality bills are concerned, if you don't pay your municipality bills on time, they actually can sell your house on third-party sale. They can auction off your house.
Imagine that. And Mbukelo uzoba senkingeni-ke lapho. It's time for another quick ad break. Mbukelo ungayindawo, I hope ukuthi nilalele kakhulu nina enithanda ukuthi nihambe niyotitiliza lapha etolo. Siyabuya emva kwalokho. Welcome back, Mbogeli. We're still discussing financial discipline as we exit 2016 into the new year. My guests are Upud Gerald as well as Upud Elias and bakhuluma ngathi ngalolu daba. Mbogeli, namhlanje ke ngebhadi, we're not taking your calls as we are not live. But gentlemen, Gerald, what did you want to say to that? I mean, to those people that think, if I miss a loan repayment here, it's fine. It's not going to be a lot of trouble in 2 months' time.
I think people underestimate the power of a contract, because at the end of the day, when these creditors come back and are taking you to court, they just want to recover money which you took. There's no one who's ever going to get a judgment against you in jail because they don't like you. It's because you did something. And the problem is we do things in the moment and we don't think twice. So even right now, it's 30 December, there's someone who's about to leave the shop right now, leave the house in lieu and go to swipe for ishwala. Money, so you're going to swipe beer for 300 Rand, which you're going to pay back 1,400 in 2017. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense.
But that's exactly what we do every day. We go and swipe a packet of cigarettes for 20 Rand and pay back 300.
You know what you are saying is very important. If you swipe for beer at any liquor store and you get a car crash afterwards, an accident, your insurance can actually go to that place and get a copy of the invoice. And they can say, you were drunk. You have to prove to them now that you're not drunk.
You just bought the liquor.
And I think it's important
They
also
use
to
it
say,
as an excuse.
It's important also to say we're not saying don't enjoy life. We work too hard. We work
do.
long hours. We work too hard
We always
not
hear the
to enjoy
slogan,
life.
play
No.
harder,
So
hey?
we're not saying let's kill the party. All we're saying is let's have a planned party. Let's plan things just a little bit more in terms of what we do. In your budget, have money for entertainment. In your budget, I know, Alicia, you like shoes. Have the shoe
I
line.
do.
So do that. And I think that's what's important, because I think when they look at us, these men are miserable, they have no lives. Nami, I've got a wife, Nami, I've got children, and they also want to go out and eat. But it's about saying, let's enjoy life, let's work hard in 2017, but let's have that measure of control in the money and the little money that we have. I know it's little, but it's better to save a little out of a little. And sometimes saving, as I said, it's the behavior. If I save electricity by switching off a light when no one is in the room, yes, it's not a Rand in my bank account, but it's a Rand saved in that when the municipal bill comes, it's less. When I close the tap. So savings should be really a lifestyle of saying, how can I get the most out of my life? And the thing about it, when you are in debt, you start losing money, because when you're now running around calling lawyers, phone calls, now you're losing money.
So the whole concept there, Gerald, is it's like, you know, when you want to lose weight, you have to eat less and go to gym more. So basically that's how it should happen. But on that note, Gerald, are there some debts that the consumers then can save on, like paying in advance for certain things, Elias, maybe? What can be
like
done
for
there?
example, if you can pay more on your bond, you save a lot of money on interest.
Can you?
Okay.
How would you arrange that? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't think about those big debts to say, you know what, let me contribute a little bit more towards my pension. Let me ask HR to increase my pension.
Yes.
They're not going to think of that.
Yes. Yeah, you see what happens is that because we are the consumers, we want to consume. Even if you have saved, let's say, for example, your bond is 4,000 Rand, and when you pay 5,000 Rand, because you are 1,000 Rand extra every month, you end up going there and taking back. So what you do, you tell your home loans consultant to say, the money that is in advance, I want you to capitalize it so that it can reduce my term and my interest.
On a R1 million bond, just by paying an extra 1,000 Rand, you cut your bond term by 8 years.
Imagine that.
So your 20-year bond becomes a 12-year bond by paying 1,000 Rand more on R1 million. And it's as simple as that. If you pay 2,000, it can come down to as little as 5 or 7 years. There's people who pay off their houses in 5 years. And I think that's the important part. Even with your credit card, you can call them and say, you know what, stop this minimum payment thing. Because minimum payment is interest. You haven't paid anything.
Yes, that's
so
true.
You can instruct them and say, look, from now on, I want to pay minimum payment plus 20%.
Okay.
They take your instruction. They love it when you give them good instructions.
I wanted to ask, that was my next question. How agreeable are creditors to such,
It's called a minimum payment because it's the minimum they will accept. If you give them more, they'll never say no to it. So it's about you saying, even if you're set
so you're
on
showing
minimum
that you're
payments.
actually smart about your money.
Yes, you're showing that you're smart. E-bond account, it's got a bank account number. You can have it on your beneficiary list. When you've got an extra 100 rand, throw it into your bond, because 100 rand in a 20-year bond is actually paying off almost 10,000.
Yes.
Why singacabanga lokho pho, Bhuti Elias?
And again, when we buy the cars, you know, do you really need a sunroof? When you've got aircon and windows. That's
If a car doesn't come with a sunroof, don't put a sunroof on it.
Because it's extra 10,000
Accept
rand.
it. Jeez,
And if you
goodness.
want a sunroof,
Buy
and
a
I like
car with
sunroofs,
one
no, I'm
with
going
a
to defend the
sunroof
sunroof
already.
people now. No, if you want a sunroof, just plan to be able to
Exactly.
afford it.
A car with a
So that
sunroof.
extra 200 on your monthly payment, cut out something in your life and enjoy your sunroof. But sunroofs are important.
But note that when you
And you
sell...
won't use it for the whole year, Gerald. So it's
that
not beneficial.
when you resell that car, sunroof doesn't count.
Look, gentlemen, so we know that, you know, this festive season is also synonymous with huge marketing campaigns that try and lure consumers into more debt. Gerald, you were talking about the big signs, people saying that will give you a loan to consolidate your loans. How much should people watch against that?
The problem I have is that even if you go for a debt consolidation, you have to do it with a financial planner. Because often what happens is they're saying, Alicia, you owe 10,000, which you said you're going to pay over 5 years. What we're going to do is we're going to make you owe 15,000 and you pay it over 10 years. So often, a lot of the time when they say you're consolidating debt, they are reducing your monthly payment, but they are greatly extending the period.
And interest.
And the interest. So it's actually a worse thing. So debt consolidation does not always work for everyone. Neither does debt review. That's why you need to sit with someone who knows your holistic financial plan and can say, okay, Alicia, how are we going to fix things? There's two things you can change. You can change your income or you can change your expenses. So I can sit down with you as a financial planner and say, look, Alicia, here, what are the options? What's easier? And you say, no, Mina, I'm good at what I do. I can get a new job.
Yeah.
Increase the income. You can maintain your lifestyle. If you can't, then you have to cut down on your expenses. But there's a trade-off. And I think that's what we are struggling with as Abantu Emnyama, that we don't want to give up. We've tasted too many nice things. We need to start reaching a point where the taste of something today is not as important as what's coming tomorrow.
And again, let's educate our family members to be disciplined.
So mabebona lama sign nje Bhuti Elias bangawafundi base beyagijima behambe beyosayina lapha.
Yes, because what happens is that like for example they are saying buy now, pay later. Like for example, you can buy now and pay when your daughter get married. You know,
What if your daughter doesn't get married?
you know,
and it's about also another important thing. 2017 is coming. There's a black tax. Ubuntu. Let's start disciplining our family. Now, if festive, everyone is around. Let's put it in our budget and say, family, me, I've got 1,000 rand nyana for everyone.
Yes.
So every month when you guys come with requesting imali, I've only got 1,000. There's one word we struggle with as Abantu Mnyama, and it's a 2-letter word. N-O. It's okay to say no. And I think it translates into everything we do.
When I say no, I'm not going to be the big boss of town when I say no, Gerald.
It's necessary that families gathered now, start a family stokvel. If we're a family which likes to party, let's save the money for the big party.
Let's hold it there because, hey, Mugel, I started being careful, and then after that, sizonikeza more advice ukuthi wena ungayibamba kanjani lo mali ukuthi ingaphume ephaketheni lakho more after this. Mugel, it's our final segment ke ukuthi sicebisa ukuthi wena njengoba uzokwenza New Year's resolution yakho yini izinto ekumele uyicabange ukuthi phela uzokwazi ukuthi usale nemadlana lapha ephaketheni. Gentlemen, let's just talk about our tips once again. I know we've been giving them out and dishing them out since siqala lolu hlelo, but Elias asiqale. Let's say umuntu uthola ibonus manje, what should be the first thing acabanga ukuthi ayenze ngaleyo bonus?
first of all, zama ukubhadala dikoloto zakho. Check the highest interest rate.
But we did say abantu don't even know how much they're owing. So how do they start getting to know how much debt? Where are they owing
First
this
of all,
debt?
they must access their free annual credit report.
Okay.
But I can't mention the name of the shop, but
Yeah.
there's a shop that actually offers that report for about 100 rand.
Okay.
The credit report from the credit bureaus. Then you can see all your debts there, that the ones that are up to date, the ones that are in arrears, even the ones that you don't know. Because there are some debts that you don't know, that somebody stole your ID or has got a duplicate ID and bought a house in your name or a car in your name. Then you can find all those and you can start working on them.
So my main tip for 2017 is respect yourself. Start valuing your name. Your ID number is very important. So respect it. Realize you are worth more than the debt which you have. Find a way around it. Start group savings. I'm a stokvel. Stokvels are a good idea, especially when you're struggling. Gather with people with similar values and start saving towards common goals. And that's one thing we can do. Automate. Opt-out decisions are easier to make than opt-in decisions. You know, once you've gotten into the swing of things, you can start making a difference. And hire somebody to help you if necessary, or if you can't hire someone, read more.
And also the
Elias.
funeral policies.
Yes, that's what I was actually going to ask you about.
Because
Yeah.
if you work in Gauteng, for example, or a big city, when you go home, everybody's waiting for you. They're saying, there's a funeral at home, you know that Alicia is coming from Gauteng, she'll do everything. And you don't have money. You know, so I encourage the viewers out there to have funeral covers. If you cannot afford, while you are with everybody, they're gathering together at home, let's start the stock fair. To say, let's start a stock fair of 10. You can actually approach insurance and you say, it's 10 of us. We want to get a policy, a funeral policy. Actually, there's a policy that takes people who are a group of 10. And there's got lots of benefits.
Have you seen how people splurge on funerals lately?
And
They
another
look
important
good.
thing about funeral policies, if funeral policy is not the same as a life policy. Life policy is an investment type of policy which replaces your income when you die or when you're disabled. So you only need one funeral policy. You're only going to die once. Okay?
Yes.
So these are some of the ways we can save, because a lot of people I meet have 2-3 funeral policies. But if it's for you, you're dying once and they're not going to pay 3 times. The same way if you have 2 car insurances, they won't give you 2 cars. They will just share the cost of the one. So it's important to start knowing a little bit more. And how do we know a little bit more? Save 100 Rand Nyana, buy airtime maybe for Google to educate yourself, attend free seminars, or if you can, find yourself somebody who can be your lifelong financial doctor or financial planner, who's going to walk with you and teach you these things. Imali it's financial planning law. That's what the technical term of the degree I have is.
Yeah.
It's financial planning law. It's legal.
But Gerald, abantu bazothi then our financial planners or the middlemen, they are expensive, and also we spoke about some of them not being credible. So we are going to verify it. Just to have one is an expense on its own.
Alicia, when you're sick, do you not go to a middleman called a doctor?
I go to the
when
best
you are
doctors.
in criminal problems, do you not go to a middleman called a lawyer?
Absolutely.
When you want to learn, do you not go to a middleman called
The
a teacher?
yeah.
So you need to respect your money. How can you not have a middleman for the one thing you spend the most of your life trying to get?
But you forgot one, which is very important. If you want children, you need a middleman called a woman.
I don't know how much debt that can incur, Elias. But you were talking about black tax. Maybe elaborate further for us there, Gerald. What is black tax? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't understand the term on its own.
The thing about it is there's a lot of us, we are what we call first-generation wealth creation.
Yeah.
Abelungu have had inheritances. Most of us have never tasted what an inheritance is.
True.
We're first generation of wealth creation. So it's important that we put money aside, because wealth creation is when you don't use up everything you have in that month. Every month you don't finish all your money, you've created wealth. Now what tends to happen is because our auntie, our gogo, everyone helped to raise me, to send me to school, they also have needs and they keep asking us to contribute.
Yeah.
And it's important that we respect them and respect those values. But in that contribution, let's start being in control and saying, Bazalwan, family, I've only got 1,000 Rand. I can only afford 1,000 because I need to save 500 Nyana or 1,000 Nyana so that I create wealth for myself. Because when I leave this earth, I'm probably going to leave children. So it's important that we realize that. And how wealthy you are is measured in time.
Yeah.
So it's important to realize the Bible says you shall leave an inheritance for your children's children.
Yes.
Time. So every time you save money or put money aside for tomorrow, you are buying time because you are working for time. So it's important that we start realizing that You are wealthy as in saying, if you left employment SABC namhlanje, how long can you live without another cent?
Yeah.
Most of us are 1 month or 2 months wealthy
Yeah.
before the banks and everything falls apart.
Or less.
Or less.
Or less.
We need to reach a point where we say, 2017, I've calculated I'm 3 months wealthy. Next year, I want to be 4 months wealthy. I want to have a year. And that becomes your saving.
A gradual thing, yeah.
Yes, saving. Because there are people who save their annual salary out there. They are a year of wealth ahead of them. And it's important when you start doing retirement plans, etc., you're just simply buying time. And if you're living for today, you're not creating wealth, it means that you're a full stop.
You know, gentlemen, I just want to throw this, you know, in the air. What if it was then made compulsory by the relevant authorities for every credit active consumer to be assisted by a financial administrator or advisor at least once or twice in the year, just to make sure that, you know what, we are keeping you in tune with what you have in debt and also what you can do to consolidate that debt. I think that would work much better.
It will help because it will also assist to change our obituaries.
So who should we make the call to? Gerald, you sitting there, you know people.
Well, the thing about it is we are voters and we vote through parliament. These things can happen. The problem with it is that it's the right decision. Yes, the same way we say primary health care, every child must be inoculated against certain diseases. We need to start doing the same thing about money. But we also need to say, okay, we don't have enough financial advisors and planners. Let people start choosing that as a profession and doing it because they have a passion for it, not because they want imal. Doctors, there are passionate doctors out there. Lawyers, there are passionate lawyers out there. Professionals who are passionate. So when you are dealing with your financial planner, if the first thing is talking about is commission, leave him. Find someone who wants to actually help and see you in a better financial position, because at the end of the day, we are spending 8 hours a day earning money.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's where we leave it. But Elias, unfortunately, we've run out of time. We've taken so much time. I'm going to be in debt when it comes to time. That is where we end today's show. Let me thank my studio guests for their time. Please join us again next week, Friday, for another consumer affairs discussion from me, Alishin Tombiagajali, and the whole team. Sinfisela Amaholiday Apepile Nonyaka Moshaka 2017. Wishing you all a prosperous new year that is only a couple of hours away.
Timpolumpo, aungela, wimganwa.